To show you the back side of the board, as you can see, lots of messed up traces and through holes. So, got a lot of repairing to do. Right, given that these IRL 540s are not actually that expensive, and I've got plenty in stock, I'm going to replace them all. We don't know what horrors that these have been through. As you can see, they're all a bit bodged looking. So yeah, let's stick all new MOSFETs on. Right, to compensate for the damage to the tracks and through holes, I've been soldering all of the grounds from the top side, and basically all you need to do is just get the iron in underneath and solder it to the pads. So I've actually got them all sat flush as they should be, but you can still just get in and solder them, unlike the moron who worked on this before, I had them sticking out of the board and all over the place. So I've soldered all those grounds on. Now these two that I've not put in yet, it's because the ground pads are entirely missing, so I won't be able to connect those from the top. As you can see, entirely burnt away. So I'm going to add, I've just left them out to remind me I need to add ground connections to those from the bottom side. Right, I've soldered these in as best I can now. I've marked on where I need to add the two grounds. Some of these, as you can see here, I'll focus, there's just nothing to solder to at all, so I'm going to have to basically patch that up. Same with that one there, nothing at all to solder to. It's a real mess. That one again. Whilst I need to add the ground on. Well, there's half a pad there, I can probably get that on. So yeah, it's kind of a mess, so we're going to have to do some patching to improve reliability. And like I said, these don't have any through holes at all. Someone's physically ripped those out in the past. Okay. Right, on a lot of these I've basically bent over the capacitor lead and soldered them straight onto the MOSFETs. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's a decent connection, and there were quite a few of those that needed doing, as there was no connectivity between those 2 points. We've got 3 of them where the output pins are completely disconnected, as the through hole and the pad are missing, as you can see. The insulation has been scraped off, and then we're basically going to add a pin across. I should have actually probably left the legs on long and bent them over, but yeah, I'll just add a pin onto those 3, and then got those 2 grounds to deal with as well. That should all be done now. Not the prettiest soldering work in the world, but it's all should be good. I'm going to test continuity between everything. Yeah, it's just unfortunate the absolute mess that someone's made of this. It doesn't look too bad now. Certainly a big improvement. Let's just flip the board. So that should be a lot better now. Thing I forgot to mention is we've replaced the bridge rectifier, as it was getting bad readings when I did diode checks on it. So that's just been fitted. I hate fitting these, they're an absolute nightmare. Ones with the square pins, really hard to desolder those. So I wish they'd use the pin ones, but anyway, that's been done. Quite done yet. I've just been testing this out manually, and we've got 1, 2, 3 gate connections which are bad, so I'm going to patch those up now. 3 green wires for the 3 missing gate drives, and that should be it, hopefully. Main power output connector here, which goes off to the other boards, is fairly heavily tarnished. I've given it a quick polish, but it's still quite tarnished, and the pins are a bit bent as well. I'm going to replace that with a brand new Molex connector, so that will give lower resistance, so you won't get any heating on the connector, and hopefully increase any voltage to stop any resetting issues. New power connector is on. Also reflowed the transformer connector. So in summary, we've done this connector, we've checked all the fuses out, we've replaced all the MOSFETs on the high powered solenoids, we've fixed the low powered solenoid section, new capacitor, new bridge rectifier, and we're going for a good test. I think it's ready to go into the game. CPU board on the bench now, so let's have a look what we're dealing with. I think we'll do this power connector as well, as it's pretty highly tarnished, just like on the driver board. That will help improve reliability of the 5 volts. It's looking pretty good actually. I don't see any corrosion. It has had batteries that have started leaking because there's corrosion on those battery terminals. I'm going to take this off and have a look underneath, but I think we're actually pretty good. We need to have a look around here. When it wasn't booting up, I poked all these sockets and got it to boot, so I think we're probably going to need to replace a couple of sockets. We need to get an NVRAM in there. It's actually in very good condition, which normally means that no one's worked on it yet. Quick glance, I don't think anyone has worked on this one. Yeah, I don't see any bodgy soldering. That looks factory. So there you go, decent quality decent CPU board. Battery holders off. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but there's slight evidence there of corrosion. Looks like it had just started. So we'll clean that up the best we can. This ball's actually in pretty decent condition. Also, we've replaced that power connector with a brand new Molex connector. Next, we're going to inspect the IC sockets. It's this ROM socket seems to be the worst one. The leaves aren't making great contact. It's a bit loose compared to the others, so just this one to replace. ROM socket replaced. Just going to clean up the legs on the ROM, fit an NVRAM, and then stick it back in the game. ROM's back in, NVRAM's been fitted. This is a White Star game, so it's just plug and play. Don't need to make any modifications, and we're going to stick this in the game and see what happens. The back in the machine, NVRAM installed. I've disconnected all the solenoid outputs, and we'll power it up progressively, make sure each circuit works one at a time. I've had a bit of a play around with it. It's mostly working, but we've got some issues. The auto launcher is disconnected, so that's not firing the ball out. The X-Wing's doing its own thing. It keeps just moving out and then flashing up that there's an X-Wing fault. What else have we got? Let's have a look. So let's say there's no shooter. There's a drop target missing. And what else have we got? The drop target, the pop bumpers are a bit lethargic. Oh, and the flipper here. So press the flip button, and it just sticks up. So that needs dealing with. I see that the X-Wing's just kind of doing its own thing. Diagnostics, it says the playfield is okay, but when you're playing the game it keeps flashing up that there are faults. I'll have a poke around under the playfield. So the auto launch is disconnected. There's the wire. I can see it's got no diode on it, so that won't be helping the situation. That killed the MOSFETs potentially. Let's have a look. What else have we got? We've got a Williams coil there on one of the pop bumpers. That is not the right one. That's a 26-1500. It should be 26-1200. So we need a coil. Let's check out the resistance on that up there, see if we can work out why it's been disconnected. Not see anything else obviously wrong. I'll obviously have a proper look and check everything out individually. It looks like it's got different flipper coils on, so we'll check that out. Also, the actual flipper mechanisms are very rusty and crappy, so they probably want a rebuild. So let's check this coil out. See if I can get hooked on with one hand. 3.2 ohms. What is it? 23,700. That should be about 3.5, 3.6 maybe. So it's not a million miles out. It's not jamming up, is it? I don't think it's been overheating. Definitely needs a diode across it though. So let's do that, and then we can see if it works. Connected. Diode's fitted as well. I notice, if we look down here, we've got another coil here that's not disconnected. That's been disconnected. Just going to check the resistance on it. It's got a diode on that one. If it's okay, I'm going to resolder that one on. What's this? It's a dodgy joint wire. That's been heat shrunk and soldered actually, so that's okay. So I give everything a good checking over. There might be other things I haven't seen yet. 6-1200, and it measures 10 ohms, which is pretty much spot on for one of those. So I'm going to reconnect it as well. See if we've improved anything. Right, start game. Hey, we have launch, and we have more pop bumpers now, it seems. Okay, all pop bumpers are now working, so it's a bit better. Before it was sort of just doing nothing. I can't even throw it in. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so we've improved a bit.